Hi, Phasia. Hold on, let me get to the comments. So I got it on my phone. Yay! Trying to make sure that I got everything together. I think I posted it everywhere. I tried to post it a little bit before. We got a couple people on here now. Tell me where you guys are watching from. I'm in Ohio, as some of you know. Where y'all from? Phasia, I know where you are. Our weather is kind of looking like yours. It's like 80 today. It's a really nice day. I got the windows open, but I don't want to have them all open because you're going to hear all the outside, and I live in the hood. So, hey, Keisha. Hello, sister girl. My fellow priestess in training. Who else we got on here? Okay, Keisha's from Tennessee. Love to see it. That's right. I remember that because you're close to priestess, one of the priestesses. I won't say which one. I ain't putting her business out there. You know who I'm talking about. Who else we got on here? I see Keisha and Phasia. Who else? Oh, you know what? Let me take it off so it don't show me on here no more. I don't want to be part of the number. There we go. Who else we got on here today? Where y'all from? Where y'all watching from? Hey, Brittany. I feel like I know where you're from, Brittany, and I forget. That's right, North Carolina. There we go. Who else we got on here? There's one other person. I don't know who it is. We're about to get started in like 2 minutes. We're getting started in 2 minutes. So go grab your tea or something to drink. Go use the restroom real quick. I am using the cheap honey for this. I use the good honey for my workings. Don't judge me. Do not judge me in my honey usage. If you don't have something to write with, grab a pen and paper because I am going to actually give y'all two different workings that you can do. Actually, three. But a lot of people asked about depression in the last class and herbs you can use for depression. So I wanted to make sure I included that in this class. So, yeah, grab a pen and paper so you can write these down. If you can't, this will be available for playback. So if you're watching from the Orisa Hoodoo group, then you'll be able to watch it from within the group. It will also be available on Ia's YouTube and my YouTube channel. YouTube channel is Enchanted Vibes. It's spiritual readings and wellness. Cash tag is going along the bottom. If you would like to send a love donation, I would love a love donation. You don't have to. I still love you, but love donations are great. We do not get paid for these, so and a lot of work goes into these classes. Obviously, Priestess Oshun and Priestess Ifa Maloney, they do a lot of work. But Priestess Omadara Seye and Omojole and Priestess Anansi and I, we all do a lot of work for the coven that we don't get paid for. So love donations would be great. Great, great. All right. It's 4:35. We're going to go ahead and get started. If you just joined us, put where you're from in the comments. And if you haven't given permission to StreamYard to show, or give permission to Facebook to show StreamYard, I can't talk. Show StreamYard your name so that I can actually see you. If you're commenting from YouTube, I'll be able to see you. But if you're commenting from Facebook, you got to give permission first before I can see your name. I'll be able to see your comment, just not who you are. And I like to be able to address people. Hi, Priestess Omadara Seye. Yo, before I get started, I do have to say I've met most of the priestesses when I had my leke ceremony. and they are so amazing. And we have an Ella ceremony coming up, and I cannot wait to see them again. And Priestess Omodara and Priestess Aoife Maloney and Priestess Oshun Funke, they have like this warm, welcoming energy. It's like so comforting. So if you ever get the chance to meet them in person, it is even more amazing than what they seem like in these videos. I promise. Promise, promise. I fangirled out. I tried to keep it in, but I fangirled out during my Leke ceremony. So, and we were there for a couple days. So I fangirled the whole time. Anyway, welcome to this live on Candle Magic. My name is Omoworare Ogbonyomi. I know that's a mouthful. Most people call me Queen T from my YouTube videos, or if you know my real name, that's fine too. But I'm a goddaughter of Priestess Oshun Funke. I see you laughing at me, Fisha. So I already mentioned about love donation, so I'm not going to say about that again, but we appreciate them. We work very hard. So we definitely appreciate them since we're giving you a lot of free information every week. So, and we don't get paid for this. So anyway, moving on. We're going to talk about what you guys really came to talk about is candle magic. So this is one of the most simplest ways to get things done in your life. You can layer it and make it stronger, and it doesn't take a whole lot to really make some shit shake when you're doing candle magic. You can use one of these, or you can use one of these. I highly recommend these. But if you're doing like when I do my full moon type workings or new moon workings, and I'm just letting this burn while I'm, taking my spiritual bath and meditating, I'd rather use one of these. But if you're doing like work, you want to use one of these. So there's that. There's also like the fatter votive candles and the little small candles. You can use those too, but these you can at least roll in a herb. After you've cleansed it, you can put some olive oil on it or some other type of good oil. You can even use like an oil that you're using. Just be careful. Some of them are really concentrated. So you have to dilute them or else they can like irritate your skin. I made that mistake once with a lemongrass. I was learning how to do the Ori blessing that we learned how to do in the community outreach program. And I didn't have quite enough water and I had to dilute it more because I didn't know how strong that oil was. So oil, you don't need a lot, just a little bit. Just words of wisdom there. But you can roll this in oil and you can actually then roll it in your herbs. So that's another way to do this if you haven't already done that before. But I prefer these because you can do a lot more layers when you use the glass. So the bulk of this is going to be about colors and intentions. So if you watched Priestess Omodara Sheye's class from last week, you kind of know some of those. So I'm not really going to go over that again. I just made a video that'll be posted on my YouTube channel. My phone is being slow. I had to get a new phone because the river incident, I'm sure some of you heard about. But it's being slow. I didn't have iMovie on my phone, so it'll be up later today, I promise. But I go over some colors and intentions as well, and some other ways to use it. And I also go over layering in a different video. So those will be up later. So colors and intentions and correspondences. That is where you really should start. What do you want this working to do, right? What's the purpose of this working? Is it to increase your happiness? Yes, my son is okay. He fell from very high, but the river was shallow. His tailbone still kind of hurts a little bit. It's a little tender because there was a really big rock, but he's fine. He's been running around like a crazy person. He's good. We pray on him every day. We pray on both of them. If you know my daughter, you know why. She's crazy. But we pray on them every day. So pick your intention. Do you need this for prosperity? Do you need this for self-love? Do you need this for healing? Do you need this for depression, which we will go over? So pick that first, and then that will kind of guide you to which color you need to pick. So as long as you know that, everything else really just falls into line, especially if you have, there's a couple different guidebooks you can use that will show you all the correspondences to everything. I'm not going to go over all of them because it's a lot of information, but I will give you a little bit. So, for instance, if I wanted to do a working on myself, but it wasn't very specific. So, I'm a Leo. Okay. So, for Leo, if I want to do a strong working on myself, I would use a gold candle with the intentions of confidence and use basil, creativity and use patchouli, happiness and use catnip, protection and use dandelion, success and use cinnamon, and wisdom and use rosemary. So I would enchant each herb for that specific thing. Um, I would place it on top of a strength card along with a tiger's eye. Um, Both represent a Leo and the crown chakra, which the crown chakra is represented by Leo, obviously, because we're the kings and queens of everything, right? And then I would put it somewhere on the south end of my home because I am a fire sign. Burning the candle within itself is a layer, but I could also write a petition and then um, burn it with either I could burn it with that candle, the light from that candle, or I could burn it separately and mix it with the herbs that I use in the candle. Many layers to that, right? Um, I specifically chose one crystal and six herbs because the numbers for Leo are 1 and 6. Another layer. And then I would do this work on a Sunday. Another layer, right? So that's, layered all the way to the sun itself. And that would be a super strong working for me if I didn't have like a specific intention, especially if I do this on my birthday. Like this could be something I would do for my birthday, especially if my birthday falls on a Sunday or the Sunday closest to my birthday. So that's something that you could do. Use your sign, and this could be like your present to yourself. Um, Simply going by my astrological sign, I can create an entire working for myself. And it's not complicated. I'm not even picking it from scratch. I don't have to think about anything. If I use one of the many ways to find out correspondences, I can literally go to Leo, find all the correspondences, and just do that thing. It is super, super easy um, to do that. So, in my last live, there was a lot of people who asked about depression and herbs that can be used for depression. So, and off the top of my head, I couldn't think of them like really. So, I went ahead and made sure that I had lots of information for you guys on this one because I know that it's important. A lot of people suffer from seasonal depression. Some people are bipolar and that depressive side gets really bad. And some people can't take medication for several reasons. Some people don't have the resources to go to therapy. There's a lot of reasons. Now, this is not a substitute for therapy. This is not a substitute for medication. However, this could get help you get through some of those harder times when necessary. And if your depression is mild or you don't actually have depression, you're just sad, these things will still help. But depression is real. So we're not going to pretend like it's not. And I'm not a doctor. So one of the things you do, I have these two colors for a reason. So this is not quite light blue, but if you get a light blue candle, and then the things you can enchant it with. So one of the things is calm, right? Because you want to calm yourself, you want to calm your mind because depression sometimes gives you anxiety. And so you're kind of everywhere up here. So you want to be able to calm yourself enough to where you don't act irrationally, right? Especially if you have sometimes irrational thoughts when you're going through depressive episodes. So for calm, you can use daisy, dill, jasmine, rose, thyme, and yarrow. For emotional growth, um, because it could be that your emotions are just everywhere. And sometimes, no matter how old we are, we think emotionally immaturely. Um, Sometimes you weren't able to express your emotions in a certain way as a child. And so now, as an adult, you still don't know how to do it because you weren't able to do it as a child, right? It's a symptom of trauma. So, if you need help with your emotional growth, you can use, I don't know how to say this one, cinquefoil, which 5 fingers is much easier to say, clove, nettle, and sandalwood. Now, nettle is sometimes a little bit harder to find, but they make nettle tea where it's just the nettle in it and nothing else. So if you absolutely had to, you can use one of those tea bags, just open it up very carefully and enchant it, and you can still use that if you absolutely have to. That's the hoodoo part, right? Happiness. That's an easy intention, right? For happiness, you can use basil, bergamot, gardenia, jasmine, lilac, rose, thyme, and yarrow. So I'm going to say a lot of these, and a lot of these have similar intentions and they have the same herb. So that is very helpful because you can use it for different intentions. You can enchant that one herb for all the things that it's listed for, and that also helps layer the working, right? The next one is harmony. Okay. And this is still on the light blue candle because that represents harmony. So for harmony, you can use cinnamon, clove, and sandalwood. Inspiration, you can use, sorry, lost my place. Cinnamon, 5 fingers, clove, sandalwood, jasmine, lilac, and rose. And then the last intention for the light blue candle, you could use for well being, because you want to be well within yourself and within your mind, right? So, jasmine, lavender, sandalwood, sunflower, thyme, yarrow, and you can use a piece of garnet. I actually have one. It's a very small piece too, that I got from a local metaphysical shop that has crystals and stuff. So you can use that, and then using a crystal on top of an herb, it's another layer, right? Um, the light blue itself corresponds to the planet Venus. It corresponds to Friday. Um, and all those, both of those things correspond to emotions, happiness, harmony, and also connections and renewal. So part of being depressed is that you kind of sometimes feel like you're in a way isolated from other people. You feel like you don't have anyone to talk to. You feel alone. Um, you feel unloved, in some cases, depending upon your depression. So the connection part of that, feeling connected to other people, is important because if you felt connected to other people, chances are you wouldn't be quite as depressed, right? And then renewal, so that you can renew your mind, renew your sense of life, love, adventure, and all that stuff, and give you a more positive outlook. It also corresponds to the number 10 and the suit of cups. And guess what the 10 of cups is a symbol of, or can be a symbol of? Does anybody know off the top? Does anybody know what do you associate the 10 of cups with if you're watching and you know tarot? I know Priestess Omadara is on here. She know a lot about tarot. Anybody on here that knows about tarot? What does the 10 of Cups represent to you when you see it? I should have pulled it out of my deck. All right. Brittany says relationship and love. Phasia says happiness. Those are both very, very good. Oh, look, it's the second card. So here's what the 10 of Cups looks like. So, a few of the things that it represents: divine love, blissful relationships, harmony, and alignment. Yes, there we go. Happiness in the home. Yes. Completion, I think of being full. That's a good one. Whoever said the completion, I think of being full. I can't see your name. So let StreamYard share, let Facebook share your information with StreamYard so I can see who you are. Keisha said happiness in the home. Phaedra said harmony. Yes, all those things. So if you use this card, and you can place it like alongside it if you have to, under it, either way, however you decide to do it, that would definitely be helpful. You could put this in like the northeast or the west corner of your home. You could write a petition for peace and harmony within yourself on that magic dissolving paper. And then all you would have to do is get a bowl about this size. Doesn't have to be super big. You don't need a lot of water, just enough water to dissolve your petition. Put it in there, put the candle inside of it, and all of this will just magnify the working, and make it stronger. You can do that with symbols too. You can do a symbol of life, if especially if you've had like suicidal thoughts or tendencies. Life is something that you want to have still, right? So you can do the symbol for life. Crystal said, I know it's good when it comes up in the spread. Yes, that's a good card to have, and you want it upright. If you read reverses, you don't want it to be like this. You want it to be like this. So Venus, usually Venus has to do with water and femininity, right? Blue, water, femininity, right? So adding the water is another layer. And you can also use that water to bless the candle as well. So red, beautiful red candle. Also, when you get candles, see how this has a label on it? I purposely left that on there because take it off. Take off the labels and wash them with Florida water or some type of cleansing. I would say if you don't have Florida water, at least use like some nice water to get any like weirdness off of here. And then I have these flat. I use the cotton pads instead of the balls just because they don't shred like the balls do. I use the cotton pads, dip it in my Florida water, and wipe inside of here. Okay, get that whole top layer because you don't know what the heck is on here. Wipe the whole top layer and then the inside of this as well, along with all the sides and the bottom. Cleanse this. Cleanse this. I'm gonna put this one on there so that y'all can see this beautiful comment. Because yes, cleanse your candles. It is super, super important. You don't know what kind of weird energy those people in the store had on it. People have been touching on it. It's been sitting in a box. Oh, just thinking about it, it's just gross. You don't want to do it. You don't want to do it. Just get rid of it. And these are great candles because if you cut the wick right, I've had one of these last for like 5 days. So yeah, it's $1.25. And sometimes they just soot up at the top because they are cheap. But when you are doing maybe 2 candle workings a week, sometimes because you need some work done because your life is in shambles. That's been me. I'm speaking from a place of experience, not judgment. Nothing wrong with getting the cheaper candles. And we're trying to, manifest prosperity. And when you manifest prosperity, it doesn't necessarily mean you need to spend $10 on one candle. Okay. That is not what your ancestors want for you. Now, if you're a millionaire and you want better candles, by all means, go ahead. But when you got $2 in your bank account, go ahead and get you one of them dollar candles. No judgment from me. Okay. So pull this back up again. So red candle. This is another working, okay? Completely separate from the first one. Red can be used for, the first intention would be ambition. Sometimes when you are depressed, you have a lack of ambition. You had dreams at one point and you stopped working towards them. So in order to get that back, you can use one for ambition, and you can use a stone of amber or another, again, a garnet. Next intention would be courage. So for courage, you can use basil, catnip, lavender, rose, thyme, and yarrow. And I also, there's plenty more herbs that you can use, have plenty more intentions. I just picked ones that are easy to get. There are some more obscure ones. I just picked the easier ones. Most people can get to these things. The next intention would be encouragement, and you can use bergamot, cedar, red jasper, like a red jasper stone. Next intention again would be life, and we talked about this, right? So you can use daisy, lilac, five fingers, and sandalwood. Passion, passion for life, passion for the things that you used to like, um, things that used to make you happy, passion for, your job, anything like that, or passion for your work, whatever your career choice is, whatever you feel your calling is. So that would be rose, obviously, cinnamon, five fingers, ginger, and garnet. You can use garnet for that. Strength. Um, this could be of any type of strength, because a lot of times when you're depressed, you feel weak, or you're in, at least in a weakened mental state. Sometimes being in a weakened physical state can trigger depression if you've been ill, or if you have a physical ailment or a health issue. Sometimes you need strength in order to get through that circumstance, especially when it's temporary but devastating. So basil, catnip, rose, thyme, sunflower, and yarrow. And the last intention that you can use for the red candle would be willpower. So you can use apple, which I have, every time I eat an apple, I take out as many seeds as I can and I save them. That way I can use them in my workings. Because chances are, unless it's something that you're going to be able to soak in like water, or if you're making a tincture or something like that, so you don't want to use like a slice of apple, because apple goes bad like a banana, like quick. So the seeds are just fine. And when you're using seeds, and if you think about it metaphorically, seeds are the beginning, right? They are a new beginning of growth. So it's symbolic in that way too. You can also use cypress, which depending upon where you live, there may be a whole bunch of cypress trees around you, so it wouldn't be hard to find. Laurel, which is also bay leaves, they are the same. Dill, rosemary, and St. John's wort. And many of these other things had, you could use St. John's wort as well. Like I said, I picked ones that kind of cross, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So red corresponds to Tuesday, the direction of south, the root chakra, the numbers 5 and 9, and the suit of wands. So the 9 of wands. Does anybody know what the 9 of wands can symbolize that would make sense in this working? And I'm going to try and find it while I wait for your comments. I should have had these pulled out. Nine of Wands. Does anybody know? I'm sure you know. Found it. I'll show it to you guys. So this is the Nine of Wands. Does anybody know? Brittany has overcoming obstacles. That's a good one. And depression is definitely an obstacle that needs to be overcome, right? I like that. Phasia has protection, standing ground, and courage. Beautiful. Love it. Priestess Omoworare Sheye says strength and endurance. Love it. Yes, definitely strength and endurance. And it goes with, remember, I use strength as one of the intentions, right? Resilience is also in my notes too. So good job on that. You guys are good. I like it. I like it. Look at our tarot readers in here without even have to pull out a book. I love it. Love to see it. So, Nine of Wands can symbolize all those things. And I wrote resilience, courage, and persistence. Okay. So, what you could do is write a letter to yourself about all the things you want to release, everything that isn't serving you and is causing you pain, right? So, I release myself from these negative feelings. If you know where the negative feelings came from, sometimes some people know what their triggers are. You just haven't figured out a way past them yet. So if you know your triggers, write those down. Write down the negative things, the things that you want to get rid of. And then you can use the flame of that candle once it's done to burn it. And you could go outside of your house and blow it away from you. Make sure the wind isn't going to blow it back. Test the wind first and then blow it away from you symbolically, right? It's another layer of the work. Either color can be wrapped in copper wire. Copper is one of the metals for both of these. So you could wrap it in a copper wire that you have either charged under a full moon or charged with full moon water. Both of these have ties to the moon. The red specifically to the full moon, and the blue, because it's tied to Venus, ties similarly to the moon. And you can write down your intentions. So I have hella markers. And when I say hella, I mean I have a whole pack of colored Sharpies that I use. The green and the red ones are not in here because those are the ones I use the most. But take your red marker, and here's another thing you could do. You could write the intentions from the red candle on here, or you could take a blue marker, because a lot of them had similar intentions, right? And a lot of them had the same herbs, right? So you could take the blue marker and write some of the intentions of the blue candle on the red candle. It's not going to hurt it, and it's going to still layer it because it's still going to help you, right? So that's another way that you can layer it. You can use, I would try not to use just black if you can help it. Use a color that means something. So you can either use the same color or use a corresponding color that has similar meanings and write those things on the candle. You can write symbols, like I said, if you know how to make sigils. If you know how to make your own sigils, that's even better. I made my own sigil for generational wealth. I know some of you already know this story. I did this working. I filed my taxes on a Sunday. I did this working on a Monday, and my taxes came on Saturday. So while everybody else was complaining about how they've been waiting 2, 3, 4 weeks for their money, I got mine in less than a week. And I was doing a candle working. I used the green candle. I used fenugreek because that's super, super powerful. If you do a prosperity working, get you some fenugreek. It works great. Enchanted to attract money to you. And baby, if you do it right, it's coming quick, quick, quick. I'm pretty sure I used cinnamon in that too for quickening. Came quick. But I had my own sigil that I had created for generational wealth. And so I placed that on there, and I had some extra herbs, sprinkled that around the bottom as well as what was already in here. Worked, 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 worked. So the more layers you add, the stronger your working can be. Okay. So there's just a couple of ideas. I know that was a big question last time. Does anybody need me to repeat anything that I said? I know a couple people are writing it down, and I know most people are going to watch this on the playback, so you'll be able to pause it. This will be available for replay as soon as it's over. You should be able to replay it. But before I move on, does anybody have any questions? I just have a couple more things to go over, and then we can get out of here. Anybody got any questions right now? I love that y'all were so prepared with the tarot meetings. And yes, I'm drinking out of my Hocus Pocus cup. And yes, I'm drinking my hibiscus tea. Have you did a I have Hi Destiny. I have not done a video about petitions. So Priestess Aoife Maloney's Facebook is the one attached to this that lets it broadcast. She is the one that's going to be doing the petition class, and it has to be rescheduled. There was some events that transpired, and she had to delay it. So as soon as she gets that on the schedule for when she's going to be redoing it, it will be. I'm sure she'll post it and let us all know. But I personally have not. I am not a petition expert. I'm not going to pretend to be. I will leave that to the professionals. So when Priestess releases the date for her class, just make sure you're signed up for it. And I'm sure it'll be great because she's a great teacher and I love all her classes. So, ashwagandha. Yes, ashwagandha can be used. Yeah, I leave things to the professionals. If I don't know how to do it, I have no problem saying that and passing it off to someone who does. Because I'm not going to tell you nothing crazy. Yes, ashwagandha is also good for depression, lightening mood, a few things. So thank you for that, Brittany. All right. So also, word of advice, candles should never be blown out. I have one of these to use for my tea light candles I'm not if I need them to go out. Usually, like if I'm doing a bath and I have them lit, I just let them go until they're done. But if I need to blow them out, I have one of these. I also got this from the dollar store, and you literally just put it over it. It can work for this too. The wax will be there, so it might get a little waxy at the bottom if you get it too close. But just get one of these, or if you don't want to get one of these, if you have like I almost always have a bowl of cool water, and if it's on my altar, I always have cool water as an offering. So you can literally just put your or like the plate that you use for your offerings, just set it on top until the fire extinguishes, and then you can take it off. It only takes a couple seconds. But please, please, please do not blow out your candles. If you always have like a white candle, or you try to have a white candle at all times for your altar, you can transfer the flame first and then let the other candle go out. But transfer the flame because it transfers the ashe that you've been building. Phasia says, I usually take an incense stick and carefully tip the wick into the wax. Okay, yeah, that works too. Whatever works. Who do it if you gotta. As I mentioned, transferring the wick. That's also, candle magic. That in itself, you just transferring the flame from one candle to the next to build the ashe, that is also candle magic. Meditating with the candle and the corresponding color of the intentions of your meditation is also candle magic. You can go to the store, get one of these in all the colors, maybe get a couple so that you have backups. And then you can write your meditation intentions on here and then always pick whenever you need to meditate for that intention, you pick that candle and then don't blow it out, obviously. Snuff it out. But then that way you're always using the candle, and that candle is building ashe. And then once it gets pretty close, you can just transfer that flame to your next one and keep the ashe going, right? So even something simple as meditating, you don't have to be doing a full-on working. Even if you're just meditating, you can use a candle to help with that. And with prayer, same thing with prayer. Use intentions if you're praying for something specific, but it's something that you pray for often, like healing, mental wellness, things like that. Write that on the candle. And then whenever you pray about that thing, or whenever you feel you need that thing the most, use the same candle. Because who wants to keep buying candles every 5 minutes, right? None of us. None of us do. Let's see. If you can't let candles burn for a long period of time, at least let the wax get even all the way across. So this one hasn't been used yet, but you see that how that line is right there. You want something similar, but all the way around. So if all the way around it is melted at least a whole layer, then it's safe to go ahead and snuff it out at that time. But candles hold memory. So if you only have it lit for like 5 minutes and it just creates a little pool, but it doesn't go all the way across on the inside, if it only goes like to the middle and it doesn't go all the way across, you're going to have a problem with that candle burning all the way down cleanly. So that's one thing. I have an example. This is the last candle I did for a prosperity working. And I cut the wick super low, so no soot at the top. And then you can see right through to the bottom. There was a little bit of herbs left, and they are nice and crispy, crunchy at the bottom. But it burned all the way down. So this is an indicator. And then of course, I divined to make sure the working was good, and it was. Sometimes it's going to have some of the stuff on the side, but it definitely burned all the way down. Destiny says, can you use black chicken, the bath, as a cleanser for your candles before you dress and set up if you don't have Florida water? I don't know what black chicken is. You can use water and lemon. You can use lemon. Lemon is, if you enchant the lemon for purification and protection, you can use that. Just lemon and spring water. Let's see what else. If you have gin, because you should be offering gin or something like that to your ancestors, you can use that. If you're really in a pinch and you need to use something, you can just use clean, like spring water if you need to, and then a whole lot of prayers, a whole lot of prayers if you absolutely had to. Make You can make your own Florida water. I have, so this is one that I made a couple months ago. That is super strong, works really well for me. We're on 30 days of the one that we made in Ia's class a couple weeks ago. Ia and Priestess Peach Blossoms class a couple weeks ago. That one's upstairs in a very dark room. But I also have one that I bought from the store that has a lot of oil in it, so it separates and I have to shake it. But this is like my last resort type of thing. But there are lots of ways around it. But Florida water is good. Or you can use I wouldn't use sage, but you can use lemongrass. You can use cedar. You can use a whole bunch of stuff. I have, whenever I'm cleansing space, I use my Edion for that because it smells good, and I got it during my electric ceremony, and it rattles, and I like the sound. So you can use a lot of things. Salt can be used for purification. So if you use a little bit of salt water, if you don't have lemon, some clean water, some salt, enchant the salt for purification and protection, and that can work as well. If you use salt, though, it may leave a little bit of grittiness on the candle because of the salt. So then you'll have to go with some regular water um, and kind of like get some of that off, or you can leave it on there. Um, I've definitely used it, and I definitely left the salt on it. It was gritty and it felt weird when I touched it, but it was protected. So there we go. As with all workings, make sure you divine. Divine, divine, divine. Divine after you write out your working for permission to make sure you have everything together. Um, divine throughout the working to make sure that you enchanted your herbs properly, make sure you blessed things properly. Enchant before you light your candle to make sure that everything was done. So, black chicken is like a hex remover bath in a bottle. And it's okay, that's perfect. I'll use the lemon and water. Okay, great. Yeah. I've never heard of black chicken. So you just taught me something. Look at you, Destiny. I'm going to be Googling that here pretty soon. Um, but yeah, divine, 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 divine as it burns to make sure that everything is going good, especially if you start to see weird stuff, like if you see soot forming or something like that. If you see soot forming and you know it's not because your flame was like sky high, because someone just had one in mentorship in the community outreach program where that flame was crazy high because there was a bulb. Like this became like bulbous where the wick itself kind of like fanned out. And so it made her flame higher. So she divined and everything was, okay. But then the bulb fell off and the flame went down and everything was fine. So she's probably going to do it again. Um, but, sometimes things happen that are kind of out of your control. But make sure you're divining. Make sure you trim the wick. Trimming the wick will definitely lower the flame. And almost every single last one of them, if you read the instructions, it says right on it, trim wick to 1/4 inch before each lighting. So it's kind of hard to do these once they get so far down, but definitely the first one, you want to make sure that you have it down to 1/4 of an inch. And that will definitely help. And if you have a ruler, you can, kind of measure that. But an inch is usually this part of your finger. Sorry, there we go. An inch is usually about that part of your finger. So you only want to do 1/4 of that. So it's really a small amount. You don't need a super long wick. And if you use one of these, this one's a torch. Oh wait, there we go. Yeah, this one torch. But if you use one of these, you don't have to like worry about maneuvering with a lighter. If you were using oil, you only need like 2 drops. You only need like 2 drops of oil. Okay. Herbs should be dry, and you only need a pinch. I promise, I promise, I promise, I promise. You don't need this much herb of every herb for your candle. Okay, literally a pinch of herb for all the herbs that you're using, and then mix them up really well. For a candle, I would say if you can, kind of crush them in your hand a little bit because it makes it smaller. It makes it easier to manipulate, less likely to burn if it gets close to your wick. And then if there's a little extra, like I said, you can use it either in another part of the working or save it for another working. Sometimes, depending upon what it is, I do it like I do cinnamon blowing, and I blow it inside if it's good things. If I'm wanting to attract something, I blow it inside. If I'm wanting to release something, I blow it outside. So that's something you could do with your extra herbs too. Make sure you remove all the labels and dust and all that stuff. Let's see. Is there anything else? Oh, you can use like a Q-tip. When you're putting the herbs in there, you don't want them to smother your wick. You don't want them anywhere near your wick. So kind of like make a ring around. And then if they get too close, you can use your finger, but you can also use a Q-tip to kind of move the herbs away from your wick if they get too closely during your sprinkle process. Does anyone have any questions? We're at 51 minutes. I tried to keep it short. What questions do you have? I highly recommend getting a book of correspondences. It will help you a lot when trying to build your candle work. It will save you a lot of time trying to rack your brain, especially if you. I have a lot of herbs. I have something like 70 herbs. And so I have, a good amount that I can work with. Um, but if you don't, a book will definitely help you. And there's a couple different ones out there. I learned to push my herbs outward, aware of the wick, because it, if not, it makes a pool of wax and puts the flame out. Yes, it does. Yes, it does. I've had one candle that would not stay lit, and I was pretty upset about it because it was fine for a long time and it didn't even have um, herbs in it. It was one for my altar. It was a white one. One day it just stopped staying lit. So I was like, y'all want a new one? Got it. I don't even need to divine about why. I'm just going to give y'all a new candle. So it happens. It happens. Is there any other questions? Questions, comments, concerns? I'm going to start my tarot series. So next week, it's going to be a tarot class. So I got to get my life together, get all my info together, and get that class ready for you guys. So I'm super excited, super excited about that. Phasia, yes. Now there are some like real life professionals into tarot in this group. So, be nice to me. I'm decent at tarot. I'm not super professional, but I'm decent. I can make it work. And when I don't know what it is, I know how to look at a book. Do you know any specific information about flames and what they mean, like dancing, popping? I don't really. I just know what it feels like when I'm watching it. So I've never looked into it. I've never studied it, but there are times where I'm using a candle and I'm holding the candle, or I'm purposely have it near me and I'm watching the flame, and I get a feeling from that. But that's more of an intuitive thing for me. It may not mean the same for everything else. And it's really, I wouldn't even say there's a full on system to it for me. It's how I feel in the moment based on what I'm meditating on, what I'm praying on, especially when I'm in my spiritual bath, that kind of thing. So for me, no, personally, I have not looked into it. There may be a flame expert somewhere in the group, but I am not that person. That is not me. Anyone else? I appreciate the participation today, especially with the tarot cards. You guys did a great job with that. And thank you for teaching me um, about black chicken, because I'm looking that up as a hex breaker or hex remover. Yeah, I'm looking that up. Anything else? All right, y'all. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, Brittany, for coming and sharing. I always love when the Coven sisters come out and share. I hope you said it right too, because I'm going to Google it, Destiny. So thank you so much for joining me today. If you are so inclined, Cash App is scrolling at the bottom of the screen. If you're watching from within the Coven, You won't be able to share this outside of the coven, but if you go to my YouTube or Ia's YouTube, those are on there. You're welcome, Kiara. Thank you, Phasia. Um, Either way, sharing the video, love donations, commenting. I love it. I love the exchange of energy. So thank you all. Um, let's see. If you haven't had an ancestral life path reading, go get one of those. Usually those are posted all over the place. I usually have it posted in the description. I didn't do it. So thank you all for all the love and support for all of us. And until next time, keep your head so high you can't even see the haters. Peace. Bye, y'all.